Since the movie The Secret came out, there's been a huge hype around manifestation. But luckily, things have come a long way since that movie, and we've learned so much about the topic that now we have a much better understanding of it. In the old understanding of it, it was all about you need to decide what you want and then be very clear and very specific about what it is that you want, and that's how the universe can give it to you. So, the best way would be to, for example, make a collage where you have this book with all these pages of things that you want, and you have specific pictures in there, what color car you want, how big your house you want, what you want your house to look like, and all those things. And so you give the universe a very specific picture of what you need, and then it will be provided. But this whole concept of manifestation in the old way, it comes from the ego. It comes from the programming in your mind. It comes from some void that you want to fill inside yourself. It comes from a feeling of being unworthy and needing this thing that makes you feel more worthy, or needing this thing that makes you feel more significant, or something that if you don't have this thing, then you won't have this fear anymore and you'll feel more secure in yourself. But this is just avoiding your pain, and it can't possibly work. You can't manifest anything if you're working in this ego mode. Your ego is just your programming, and that determines your identity. It's always trying to tell you who you are and how to feel about yourself, and it helps you to avoid any kind of pain, and it helps you to make masks that hide your flaws from the world. But that's not the real you. The real you is your soul, and your soul is in connection with everything. Your soul knows that you're totally worthy of everything, everything is abundant, you're totally powerful, and manifestation can only become possible when you start getting curious about your ego and what it's telling you in your ear all day. When you see your false self and how the ego has convinced you of your smallness and your weakness, then you can move beyond that and start living in consciousness of who you really are. In consciousness, you move from doing to being. So doing is all about control. It's driven by the ego. It's there to make us feel better about ourselves. And being is acceptance. It's letting go, and it's just being in consciousness. The ego can only see the small little picture, and it can only think of small little things for you to manifest. It's actually very tiny. The consciousness opens you up to seeing everything, and it comes up with expansions bigger than you could ever have even dreamed of. It's completely limitless. So the old way of manifestation is to put in maximum effort. The more effort you put in, the bigger your results will be. But this is also driven by the need to succeed, the need to prove something, the need to be significant. When you operate from a state of being and trust and acceptance, you suddenly start getting these amazing ideas. It's kind of like being tuned into a radio frequency. You can only access all this information, all this amazing information, when you're tuned into this frequency. So then, following through on these ideas becomes a whole different level of effort. It doesn't feel like the effort that you're putting into trying to avoid something or to need something. It's more like a feeling of, I can't wait to create this amazing thing, and I can't wait to see what comes next. This is where you become the creator. Before you hear, you won't be ready to receive anyway. That's why most people who get rich just lose it just as quickly. If you're in ego mode, you'll spend your money on things like addictions. You'll spend it on smoking, drinking, partying, porn, entertainment, all these things that make you feel better about yourself, all these things that give you an identity. Because these things, your addictions, disassociate you from your pain and your insecurities and helps you feel better for a little moment. But everything external in your life is just a reflection of your internal world. You can't feel poor inside, or insignificant and powerless and unworthy, and expect your outside world to be rich and abundant. As within, so without. Just like everything else on the planet, money is also an energy, and all energy is affected by all other energies around it. So all energy is in relationship to all other energies around it, and it ripples out to all energies eventually as it comes into contact with that. Because it's all touching eventually. I'm not going to go too much into all that because that's quite in depth. But just realize that money is an energy. Money is just a representation of abundance, a product of it. It's not abundance itself. Abundance means lots of everything, lots of love, peace, happiness, joy, fulfillment. Money is just a tiny little part of that picture. So you have to have an abundance mindset before money can come to you. And with money being an energy, your relationship to it is really, really important. If you want to grab it and hold on to it, what kind of energy is that? If you're all needy and desperate and you want something from it, what kind of energy is that? Do you think it'll want to come to you? If you're open to receiving it, allow it to move freely and have respect for it, how different is that energy? When you operate from consciousness, you'll spend your money completely differently too. You'll spend it on growth, you'll spend it on expansion. You won't spend it on things to make you feel better. You'll spend it on things that help you become more and live up to your full potential. So a good indicator test to see if you're in the right mindset with a new business idea is that it needs to pass the rule of 3. It needs to be good for me, it needs to be good for others, and it needs to be good for the planet. And you'll see that with the consciousness expanding so fast at the moment, all businesses that don't match the rule of 3 are actually starting to fall away. Especially the ones that are not good for the planet, because the consciousness is shifting. They can't exist in this new energy anymore. So remember now, everything in your life is there because you are in relationship to it. If something is lacking, it's just that you're not in relationship to it. So it's not about specific material things. It's about your ability to be in relationship to the consciousness and the frequency of abundance that comes with that. So that makes it only applicable in the now. There's no such thing as past, and there's no such thing as future. Time is a totally man-made concept. We decided that once around the sun is a year, and once around its axis is a day. God didn't decide that. We did. It's our ego's way of keeping up with identity it created for us, and to keep us in a small state of mind. There's only now. That's all there is. The past is gone, and the future's not here yet. Everything is happening right now. If this is a new concept for you, go and look at Eckhart Tolle's work, The Power of Now. I'll explain that in great detail. So every moment is new with infinite new potential, and anything can be created in the now. If you try to create anything in the future, you're keeping it away from you because the future is unreachable and the goalposts will always keep moving ahead of you. Kind of like when you're swimming in a pool and something's floating in front of you. It's really hard to get it because the wave you're making keeps moving it ahead of you. And that's kind of how it works the same. So the key to align with a feeling of abundance is to feel that you're one with everything and that everything is limitless. The limitations you have are like blockages you've created to stop the flow of abundance. It was always there and it always will be everywhere, in total abundance, in overflow. You just need to stop stopping it. And your limited mindset is doing that. Your belief in lack is doing that. You need to just stop. You need to just stop stopping it and allow abundance to flow freely.